Across China, a terrifying question is echoing. Where have you all gone? From the village to the city, it's silent. For many years, China still boasts about its so-called profits. Population. 1.4 billion people are the driving force behind the rise of the country, but the images of the villages remain. Abandoned activity gear, and the scene of hell during the Feast of Vespers. Len this year has told a different story. It was suddenly realized that this country there's also a fake population. How many Chinese have died over the years? How much is the real population? Join us in discovering this terrifying secret. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chinese Communist Party insists that China has 1.4 billion people, bloggers all over the world. Keep posting videos. The truth is completely different. At south from busy city to town, the countryside has become so desolate. If the official statement is true, so where are those 1.4 billion people? When Beijing withholds information, the growing number of villages, no people in, it has become one of the most mysterious. This country. A blogger filmed VI Dike describing the macabre scene. The whole town has everything. Hospital, school, bank, police stations, and even Napo stores. But it's all abandoned. Completely absent, brothers. The place we're standing in is called the private mountain village, and now it's called an uninhabited village. Because there is no shadow. Such a large village is completely empty. Only the birds sing. It's like the end of the world has come. Someone else shared his findings. While driving through Hunan, I suddenly came across a large area. The whole house. Overgrown weeds. There's still a lot of stuff left in the houses. Winter warm top. A whole closet full of raincoats. Look, there's also a VI. The floor is clean. But there's obviously no living AI. Look behind me on the right and on the left. There are many other buildings that we haven't discovered yet. A blogger in the media. To take a drone back to what he calls the largest uninhabited village in the area. Enter the village completely silent. Many houses have been damaged, but there are also many houses intact. Even luxury. There are more than 100 people out there looking at the whole thing. According to the map, this village is called opposite the Han Sea. To walk in silence so terrifying. In such a large village. Completely absent again. Why are all the houses fenced off? If the government has withdrawn, why not turn this place into a tourist destination? The old village is all a mystery. These are not isolated cases. Online videos show provinces like Hunan, Hubei, Henan, Hebei, Guangxi, and Yunnan. There's a large number of uninhabited villages. Observers had the same view. Whether it's urban or rural, the population seems to have plummeted. A resident of Fujian confirmed that the population in his city is actually less than before. A lot of factories. The restaurant and market are almost empty. Some estimates suggest the scale of the decline is staggering. A model Croc BA by Elon Musk, using official Communist Party data, Chinese products, has predicted that in 3 pandemic years, there could have been 150 million. The Chinese have disappeared from the birth wall. A researcher at the Institute of Taiwan Security and Defense argued that this sudden decline, it can't just be explained by the decline. Natural population. Even if the population is 1, China's 4 billion down by 100 million. That's equal to the population of a city. That's why more than half of the people on the street, they can disappear so suddenly. This rate is completely unreasonable, he said, but also stressed that pandemics certainly have a role to play in there. It raises more questions. A TikToker claimed that a source in the police system revealed the real population of China, only about 760 million people. Someone else land transmits screenshots from netizen. Media citing Ministry of Public Security reports that there are just over 770 million citizens. This department also admits that there's only 8 to 9 million babies registered in the system. National household, less than 7 million, compared to the figures published by the National Bureau of Statistics. If accurate, they're wrong. Such a bias suggests the manipulation of population data. It's very serious. The Japanese researchers analyzed salt consumption data. It was also estimated China's real population is about 800 million. People also share this suspicion. People in Anhui told the NTD TV reporter that since the pandemic broke out, so many people die, and both urban and rural areas declined. Serious population. Now in the 6th grade there's almost no AI. Every day someone dies. And the situation is extremely serious. The actual population is not 1.4 billion at all. One person said, the pandemic began in 2010, and so far it's been shrouded in secrecy. Whilst the Chinese Communist Party has stopped publishing data. Cremation. It's impossible to know the true death toll. Many senior officials have died, but or not reported, or only published after many months. Also tried the cold maxim. They die without anyone knowing. Local authorities for fear of being held accountable. They also tried to hide it. The severity of the epidemic. But the records, copy online still describes the outbreak scene. Mass infection, and sudden deaths in many provinces. Information that Beijing is trying to suppress. What's clear is the demographic advantage that the Chinese Communist Party used to be proud of. It is considered the foundation for the rise of China is slowly disappearing. Can refuse to acknowledge the scale of the crisis. But the signs are everywhere. The mall is empty, the street is quiet. Please disappear. and the villages are completely abandoned. All the pictures. That obsession converges into an undeniable conclusion. The crisis. China's population is no longer a forecast for the future. It really started. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, here's another example of how many people die. Abnormally high. Over the years in China, the past 5 nines coincides with the 14/7 lunar calendar. Vulan Festival is also known as Trunnian weather. The roads in China are in hell. All over the place, families burn their gold to remember the dead. But this year's spectacle is quite unusual. Number of paper burning ceremonies, much more than in previous years. Making paper on the village living in fear. Why are there so many people involved? Remembrance is so, for according to custom, the burning of gold is a ritual that goes back thousands of years. It takes place on the morning of July. And 1/10 of the lunar calendar. Yellow or white paper. It's usually cut into a cone shape, burned as a currency for the underworld. To maintain the connection between the living and the dead. Just to remember. Just showed respect. In normal years, you can only see small groups kneeling on the corner. In the evening, smoke rises from the small piles of paper offerings, but this year the scale has been beyond imagination. The whole neighborhood is in the dust. A people sign. Watch the paper ash cover the ground. It's easy to guess how many people have died. This explosion matches the signals. A worrying demographic. In the past year, China's population seems to have plummeted. With empty scenes, it's scary in the whole countryside and the big cities, where the inhabitants seem to disappear. Independent reports show that the pandemic didn't just take thousands or millions of lives. It could be hundreds of millions of people. The number that the Communist Party, China, is believed to have hidden. On the North paper, Jing still insists the country's population is 1.4 billion. In fact, many are concerned that the number has fallen by almost half. As new epidemics continue to rage on, the stories of the people show even more the depth of the crisis. A Beijing resident said, COVID-19 has never really ended in China. The virus is constantly evolving. It caused many sudden deaths. She recalled that in April last year, when her mother died in Huangzhou, Hebei province, the authorities, because they couldn't deal with the CA number, deaths skyrocketed, had to loosen and allow burial. According to tradition, a man in Jilin said that many of his friends died suddenly after the vaccination. Indignant, he declared, "We've been hurt by the Communist Party, and people are angry." Meanwhile, Beijing has not relaxed its control. Local government in many provinces has sought to ban paper burning rituals altogether. They even banned the sale of gold and deploy human resources and volunteers at the crossroads to stop people from doing this ritual. For many people, it's not just an act of sabotage, a thousand-year tradition. It's also a deliberate way of hiding the truth. The number of deaths is increasing. Observers say that the suppression of these practices, traditional beliefs, along with a series of natural disasters and social events, in recent years, has exposed a harsher reality. Under the rule of the Free Communist Party, faith and spirit are stifled, while lens fear and resentment overflowed. This year's festival has gone beyond the traditional scope. For many, it's not just a tribute to their ancestors. That has become a chilling symbol for a nation. Sinking crisis. A stark reminder that behind the false veil of stability are the shadows of instability, tension, and despair is weighing on people's lives. Under the rule of the Chinese Communist Party, nearly 100 million vacant apartments, ghost cities springing up all over China. The real estate bubble burst. Home for no one to take. Sell without buying. I've lived in this apartment for over 3 years. All alone on the floor, there's no AI. This really worries me. That brief lament exposed a bigger picture. The collapse of the Chinese real estate market that once exploded. From south to north across provinces and megacities, new apartments built today. The silence of the people, the dark tower zone. It's no different than post-apocalyptic ghost towns. A blogger, 6, has posted a video of the night in the Black Hot district. Hailing John. It shows the grim reality. Look at these tall buildings. There's only a few lights on. This building has 200 units and only for lights. The building has more than 30 floors and only to be of light. It's no different than a ghost town. That absence is not an isolated case. It reflects a situation. Collapse on a national scale. 6. One of the scenes, the most shivering, comes from a place called the #1 ghost city of the Northeast. It's a pretty normal looking neighborhood during the day. 4 and 7 clean. Trees planted in line. Street neatly arranged. But at night the silence enveloped. There is only one apartment. There are thousands of apartments facing the sea. From above drone footage, it shows the whole area in darkness. There's only one flickering light as survival. In disaster movies, people say many apartments were sold years ago, but no one's ever moved in. Some people say that even Cho does not. Many people don't dare either, because the wilderness is so scary. Similar stories also appear in the south. Chinese reporters visit the Greater Asia area in Huizhou. Note, in 2,300 apartments, there's only 2 at night. The streets are empty. The shop closed quietly. Even at night there are no lights. In the area of Yunnan and Kaesong Great Half Cup, it's a massive 18-building project with 2,328 apartments. The reporter noted at 7 p.m. there are only 2 houses inhabited. The parking lot is empty. Security guards admit that less than 10% of homeowners had ever moved in, and recounting the night patrols that were terrifying. Even a small noise startled them. even in Hu, which is considered quite prosperous. The air is strange. This should be a busy area, said the resident. Most of the buildings are empty. The real percentage of people is below 20%, he said when he bought the apartment. Open sale price more than 14,000 yuan per square meter. About 50 million dong. Today, the house was sold for less than 8,000 yuan. An apartment worth millions of yuan. The rent is only 1,500 yuan now, 5.5 a month. If you sell it, he said. It's not just losing money. It takes years to pay interest and principal. The story repeats itself in many other places. In Tianjin Preservation District, there is the Xincheng Economic Project. It was once touted as the largest villa project in Asia. With an archetypal entrance, wide open street far facade HOA. The project is located in the middle of the Beijing Golden Triangle, Tianjin and Tangshan. But in the 20 years since it opened, the population rate is extremely bleak. The new city today, it has become one of the cities, the largest ghost in China, with a series of massive abandoned mansions. Scale collapse. Chinese real estate is terrible. Zhou Woodcare, president of the European Union Chamber of Commerce, in China, on CBS 60 Minutes. There are currently about 80 to 90 million vacant or dormant apartments, that all over the country. That's enough to accommodate the entire German population of 82 million. Bloomberg said, 70% of the property households tied to real estate. Every 5% house price reduction, that's 19 trillion yuan, about $2.7 trillion of evaporated assets. For many years, real estate is a pillar, column of the Chinese growth model. It is a channel to keep the value of family property. It's a great source of revenue for local governments. But this is when the house is empty. Even if it's almost zero, no one moves in. The model has completely collapsed. Communist Party policy. The Chinese left behind are not big cities, flowers with only empty shells. Vivid proof for land overflow construction. Motor distortion. And a system that values appearance over sustainability. The result is a spooky scene. The tower sparkled but there were no people. Via is far away from HOA without owners. And the whole district's in the dark, after dusk falls. Hidden behind the illusion of prosperity. These ghost cities of China. It's a monument to the 7 failures of economic governance, and a warning. The price that ordinary people have to pay. Old Young. It must have been the greatest period of my life, full of energy and opportunity.